explains this oppression. Which brings us to the meat of the lecture today. That there is, as I perceive it, and I'm speaking these words in particular for Russia to pay attention to me, that I see a similarity, an amazing parallel between Hinduism and Judaism. In the same way that there are Jews who are hostile to the state of Israel and who were supporting the oppressed Palestinians. I knew them. I was living in New York. And when we go to demonstrate in New York in front of the United Nations, and these Jews will see me with my gown and my hair, they'll all come and stand around me. All come and stand around me. They were in Brooklyn. So too there are Hindus who are a people of character and integrity and who denounce oppression, particularly in Palestine. But can we deny that the Jewish religion has been hijacked today? Can we deny the fact that the overwhelming majority of Jews in the world today have been supporting Israel and supporting Israeli oppression? Around the world today, mankind is beginning to realize and wake up that Israel is an oppressor state. And what Israel is doing to the Palestinians qualifies as oppression. And because we now have something called the media, the internet, which can no longer be controlled by people who own the newspapers and own the television stations and so on. It is now possible for news to travel far and wide without being censored. So while it was possible in the past to cover up Israel's crimes, it was not possible this time. And as the news was spreading all over the world, students in the United States of America, in so many university campuses, were holding demonstrations condemning Israeli oppression, something unheard of before, because the United States was firmly in the grip of the Zionists. And so now it's becoming plain and clear to mankind that Israel is an oppressor state. What has happened in Israel is that Israel was born as a secular state with secular parties ruling the government. But now no more. The religious parties have now taken over the country. And it is the religious parties who are taking Israel further and further down the road of oppression. But Judaism, the religion, condemns oppression. The Jewish people who are faithful to truth in Judaism would not be oppressors. So the transformation of Israel from a secular society with a secular political system and a secular government with secular political parties to a state today which is led by religious parties has resulted in an escalation of oppression and a betrayal of whatever remains of truth in Judaism. And now, tonight from Ilford, I want to warn Hindu India that the same road on which Judaism has walked in the end time to reach where it is today, perceived by mankind as oppressor, that's the same road on which Modi is taking India. And so if you are a supporter of the Indian government, it's time for you to open your eyes and wake up, because tomorrow it'll be too late. Tomorrow they will do the same thing on the campuses of universities around the world to India, what they're doing today to Israel. What has happened in India was that Gandhi failed. Gandhi did not succeed. Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, wanted, when the British were thrown out of Britain, of India, he wanted Hindus to live according to truth in Hinduism. So he wanted a Hindu state. And he didn't get that. The Indian National Congress went on a different road from Gandhi to create India as a secular state, not as a Hindu state. The Muslims wanted the same thing that Gandhi wanted. The Muslims were led by the Khilafat movement. And the Khilafat movement wanted to get rid of the British. And when the British were thrown out, Muhammad Ali Jinnah didn't want to throw out the British. No. He wanted to get a constitutional agreement with the British. He's a lawyer. So he wouldn't use the language, throw out the British. But Gandhi would use that language, throw the British out. And the Khilafat movement will use that language, throw the British out. But Muhammad Ali Jinnah would not use such language. And Dr. Muhammad Iqbal would not use such language. Let me just put that into the records. So the Khilafat movement wanted to throw the British out. And when the British were thrown out, that the Muslims in India would live in accordance with truth in Islam. So Gandhi went to the Khilafat movement, the leaders. Abdul Bari, Maulana Abdul Bari was the leader. And he said to them, what you want is what we want. We both want the same thing. So let us join forces. This is what Gandhi said. If I am wrong, kindly correct me. And when we throw the British out, the Hindus will live in accordance with truth in Hinduism, and the Muslims will live in accordance with truth in Islam. And then you'll have to work for a political framework for that. And the Khilafat movement responded and said, yes, we want an alliance with you. And Gandhi said, my condition is only one condition, you must stop killing the cow. And the Khilafat movement said, deal, we stop killing the cow. We respect your belief. You have reverence for the cow, and some of you even worship the cow, so we stop killing the cow. And so the alliance was born. But that alliance posed the gravest threat that Britain as an imperial power ever experienced in the 300 years that Britain remained an imperial power. The gravest threat of all that Britain ever experienced was the alliance of Hindus and Muslims led by Gandhi and the Khilafat movement. And they went to work to sabotage it. And Mustafa Kemal played a role in sabotaging it, but that's not our subject today. In the end, what emerged was a secular state. That India was born as a secular state, and the Indian National Congress was a secular party. And Pakistan was born as a secular state, although there are those with pagri and dari who would say otherwise. But Pakistan was most certainly born as a secular state. And the constitution of Pakistan and everything pertaining to the politics of Pakistan was secular. And what has happened to India is the same thing that happened to Israel. That while you had the long years of Jawaharlal Nehru leading India, I don't think he was Hindu. No, I can't find any Hinduism. I can't find any Hinduism in Jawaharlal Nehru, either in his political life or in his personal life. Not the Hindus with whom I grew up in Trinidad, men of character and integrity. I didn't see that in Jawaharlal Nehru. Anyhow, India had a secular government for all these years until the same thing happened to India as happened to Israel. That religious parties, some of whom were implicated in the assassination of Mohandas Gandhi, they didn't like what he was doing in his prayer sessions. Gandhi would begin a prayer session with people reciting from the Quran, like Vladimir Putin today kisses the Quran. When you are as a head of state, when you kiss the Quran today, tomorrow all of Russia will kiss the Quran. And therefore you are showing respect for the Quran, even if you don't believe in it as yet. You are respecting the book. And they didn't want that. But Gandhi wanted that. Gandhi would begin his prayer sessions with people reciting from all the scriptures, including the Quran. One of the reasons why he was assassinated was because there is that part of the Hindu world which was not prepared to show respect for the Quran, as there is that part of the Jewish world today which has become the greatest enemies of all of Muslims. So then what is the end time going to be looking like? So long as these Hindus continue to control power in India. I'm hoping that this lecture will provoke you to think and that you'll offer your comments. Because when you offer your comments, there are going to be people all around the world who are going to be hearing you eventually. The prognosis which I have to offer is that while India's foreign policy today shows many things in it with merit. For example, the monetary system that controls the world of money, in which the International Monetary Fund is at the heart, and the US dollar is His Majesty the King, is an oppressor, oppressing mankind. And when China led the way, supported by Russia, to resist this monetary oppression and to create something called BRICS as an alternative to the monetary system, India joined. India joined them, and so too did South Africa, and so too did Brazil. India did the right thing in supporting BRICS. Today, BRICS has, I believe, 130 countries.
149.
149 countries, either members of BRICS or knocking on the door to become members of BRICS. But at the same time that India is supporting a monetary system that is resisting Wall Street, India is also dancing with Wall Street. When those who control the monetary system decided the time had come for us to move away from paper money to reach a cashless world, and you'll excuse my language, and all the sheep and cattle and goats and camels in the world who have nothing in their head but peanuts welcome the cashless world. They welcome the cashless world, including, of course, all the politicians. But the cashless world is precisely what they want, the enemy. Because once money becomes digital, electronic, you no longer have any independence. You can't take your money home. You can't do what he did in Surah Al-Kahf. He dug a hole and he buried it. You can't bury electronic money. When the prophet Samuel appointed Saul or Talut as king, this is in Surah Al-Baqarah of the Quran, the Israelite people protested. How can you appoint him as the king? He doesn't even have 1 kilogram of money. He doesn't have even 1 kilogram of money. The Quran, of course, doesn't use the term kilogram. They use the other term used at that time, a sa. But can you weigh electronic money, you dum-dum? Can you weigh electronic money? But money in the Quran has weight. Money in the Quran has weight. No politician believes that, of course. And yet you go voting for them. India danced to Wall Street and demonetized the Indian 500 rupee note and 1,000 rupee note. Was it 500 and 1,000? Huh? 500 and 1,000. And caused a lot of trouble for the poor. The poor. Many people lost their wealth because they were saving their money underneath a pillow. And they were not in a position now to provide evidence. Where did I get this money from? So they're afraid if I go with this money to try to get it changed now to electronic money, I might be arrested. And so they choose to lose their money rather than court arrest. And so Modi gave a display of ethics in the world of monetary economics that can best be described as opportunism, the politics of expediency and of opportunism. These are harsh words, and there are many in India who are going to be annoyed with me. But the same politics